You're listening to the Full Court Press with your host, Drew Duncan. Don't you dare touch that dial. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. We're live on 99.5 ESPN Radio. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Of course, you can call in at 620-343-6143. That's 620-343-6143. We're live on 99.5 ESPN Radio. Emporia's home for sports. Nico Hernandez, Wichita native, comes away victorious in the first ever world title fight as he defeated Sylvester the Assassin, who was more like Sylvester, just Sylvester the Cat. Guy gave up, man. Dude gave up, and that's all there was to it. Look, Nico fought a hell of a fight. You have to look at body language and things like that. And I remember looking right over at a counterpart of mine, James, and said, man, is it just me or does Nico look different? Because number one, it was evident that he blew up for the fight. I mean, after the weigh-ins, you could tell he got bigger. And, you know, a lot of that UFC stuff is really starting to make its way over into boxing. Gaming the weight system. There's nothing illegal about it. And Nico did what he had to do in order to come away to a win. You know, during the weigh-ins on Friday, one of the things that had happened was Nico and Sylvester, when they did the face-off, you could see Sylvester get in Nico's face. He was trying to headbutt him and all this stuff going on, and Nico just pushed him away. Right afterwards, Nico turned around and smiled, and you could see Sylvester was shaking. He was kind of trembling. Kid was scared. He was scared, and that's all there was to it. You know, everybody wants to fight Nico until it's time to fight Nico. Until you feel his power in the ring. Until you see that he truly is a boxer. When he fought Jose Rodriguez, he boxed him, period. You let him know. You know, Jose was another one that said he was going to knock out Nico. He promised it. He guaranteed it. Couldn't get it done. You know, the in and out of this thing is simply this. Nico Hernandez is a Class A boxer. He truly is a world-class boxer. You know that Nico is 1 in 17% of people to ever go on to win a world title that is an Olympic medalist? We are talking about a short list of people. We're talking about Muhammad Ali. You understand what I'm getting at here? We are talking about Sugar Ray Leonard. Matter of fact, Nico Hernandez was the first since Sugar Ray to win an Olympic medal and then win his first fight in his hometown. That was back in the 70s. Was it 77, if I remember correctly, when that happened? Nico is continuing to make history. He won the first ever world title fight that happened right here in the state of Kansas. He's a history maker. You know, Nico has been through hell and back. I mean, this is a kid with a phenomenal background story. You know, his brother passed away. He lost him in a tragic incident. Then, you know, the gym burned down that he was training in. And, you know, he's had fighters back out of fights. One time Nico came in weighing 113, had a kid back out over a 1 pound difference, which, by the way, in the state of Kansas was legal for Nico to be 113. He's had guys that said they, you know, couldn't make it to flights on planes, and he's been through a lot. And yet here he still stands. And by the way, this Sylvester kid that he fought has already been a WBF world champion. And it was funny to me because he called out Nico and said, I'd be undefeated if I fought the guys he had too. Look, if you want to say that somebody's fought tomatoes, you go right on ahead. But you better make sure that you're not going to get squashed just as easily as one. Otherwise, you're going to be looked at as a tomato. I mean, that's really the bottom line to this. You have to start really wondering if there's anybody out there that is on Nico's level. Now, granted, he did call this Barnes kid out, who also is an Olympic medalist in his own right, both undefeated. Stylistically, his promoter, John Anderson, says he loves the matchup because of what both guys bring to the table. It's not going to be a fight where Nico's going to be able to come in, dominate, and leave. He's going to have to go rounds with him. Look, here's the bottom line for Nico Hernandez. As much as we all want him to keep fighting in the state of Kansas, and I've been saying this since the first fight that he had, the real reality of it is at some point he's going to have to leave this state in order to be able to continue to move up. Now, some people are going to say, dude, come on, he just fought for a world title. How many people, though, are going to continue to be scheduled here in this state? You got to remember how difficult it is to bring somebody, because the kid that he fought in this world title fight was from Hungary. And, I mean, he had to get here a week and a half early so that way he could get used to the atmosphere, the weather, and everything else. At some point, Nico's going to have to be put through that fire as well. Now, he's already done it. When he went to the qualifiers in Rio de Janeiro, the kid that he fought and beat in a decision was from Rio de Janeiro. I don't want to say that Nico's been spoon-fed fighters, because I don't believe that's the case, because he's had too many people back out and he's had too many other things for me to be able to say that he's been spoon-fed fighters. But I will say this. It has been very fortunate for him that to this point, every fight has been here in the state of Kansas. When you're fighting at home, the other guy's walking into a lot of traps. Now, that's not to say that there's no pressure on a guy like Nico when he's in his home state, because, he's got to go out and do a lot of promoting. He's got to send out flyers. He's got to be active on social media. He's got to make appearances where he's signing autographs. He's got to go out and do open workouts, and he's got to be friendly with the media and do radio interviews. And, he's got to be open to everything that's going on. So his schedule is just as rigorous. You may say that in some cases, some people believe it's easier to be a fighter on the road because all they have to do is go and train. But when you have to fly to another country, then it becomes a different scenario. And I think at some point, if we really want to see what Nico's capable of, even though his dad and trainer Luis Hernandez has said, well, you haven't seen the best of Nico yet. And I'm not saying that we haven't, but what I am saying is this. At some point, Nico's going to have to go on the road and fight somebody, whether we like that or not. But it's going to have to be a true test of his mettle, what kind of champion he is. Because, look, Nico's now carrying around 2 titles. He's got an IBA American Championship, and now he's a world champion as well. And I'm not taking anything away from his accomplishments. But what I am saying is we know about any great champion, the idea is to defend. And I think that's where Nico has to go to next. He's going to have to defend. It's a point-blank situation. Because we've all really discussed whether or not Nico should move up in weight classes. Because right now, everything just looks too easy for him. But everything looks easy because he's that great of a fighter. Has anybody ever, I'm sure we've all seen Rocky 3. Remember at the end of that movie when Creed says, you fight great, but I'm a great fighter? Nico is a great fighter. And you have to understand what that really means. You fight great. You fight with a lot of heart and determination and passion. And even though you can't box as good, that makes you somebody who fights great. But I'm a great fighter. In other words, I'm a great boxer. And to be honest with you, Nico could be walking the line of being both. You've got to have heart to be able to take on all these life situations that this kid has had weighing on his shoulders and still be able to be where he is. Because there are a lot of people, especially growing up. I'm from Wichita. And growing up and going to North High School, let me tell you something. The odds weren't exactly in his favor. But Nico kept his nose to the grindstone, and he's made something of himself. And it's not something that is easily done. The kid has put in nothing but work. And if there's anybody that's deserving of what's happened to him, you better believe it's Nico Hernandez. But it is time for him, though, to probably hit the road and move on. This is the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. We're live on 99.5 ESPN Radio. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. You can always call in and talk to me at 620-343-6143. That's 620-343-6143. We got an array of topics. Obviously, we just talked about Nico Hernandez. If you want to chime in on that conversation as well, you can always hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at DrewDuncan83 and converse with me there. That way you don't have to call in case you're afraid of calling in over the radio. Hey, man, I know I was. I used to be a caller, and to this day, there's this one particular show that up until I got, my program started doing what I did, I'd call this guy up and my hand be shaking, man. Seriously. So don't worry about it. We're all friendly over here. Drew Duncan 83, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, 620-343-6143. If you want to talk about Nico Hernandez or any of the other subjects we have coming up momentarily, we've got NBA playoffs to discuss. We'll be back right after this. Don't you dare touch that dial.